to defend their Tournament of Champions crown. Bob Hurley's parochial beat champions have done it all without talented point guard Danny Hurley, rallying to beat McCorston after trailing by 19. Senior center Sean Rooney has stepped up his game with points and rebounding. And 6'7" sophomore Roderick Rhodes is Mr. Everything as the Friars are back in the title game. The Elizabeth Minutemen have waited a year for this championship rematch with 7-2 Luther Wright showing the way. The Minutemen exploded in the final as senior Tyrone Brown keyed a spurt in defeating Snyder. Ben Candolino's Group 4 champions are ready to run as Elizabeth seeks revenge against the Friars in the boys' Tournament of Champions. Tournament of Champions. This afternoon, it's the boys' title game, featuring the St. Anthony Friars and the Elizabeth Minutemen. We're live at the Lewis Brown Athletic Center on the campus of Rutgers University in Piscataway. Hi, everyone. I'm Pat Scanlon. This is it. One game to decide who's the best in New Jersey boys high school basketball. A rematch of last year's inaugural Tournament of Champions final in which St. Anthony defeated Elizabeth. This time, it's the Friars who are second seeded. The Minutemen are the favorite. We'll have to see what happens. We have an exciting 4 quarters of action coming up. My partner on the telecast is former Rutgers basketball coach Dick Lloyd. Dick, these two teams have met in the regular season this year. It was Elizabeth winning that meeting in Elizabeth at the Dunn Center by 14 points. Today on a neutral court, it should be an interesting rematch.
Well, Pat, you have two tournament-savvy teams. They're both very confident, and of course they're playing for bragging rights in New Jersey, and that's the way it should be. Number 1 team versus the number 2 team. Nice to be on the neutral court, but I think these two veteran coaches will not let that be a factor. Those coaches will show us a lot out there. They'll change the defenses. They'll run when they can. Both teams will play half-court basketball when that's most effective.
Well, Bob Hurley's St. Anthony Friars won the semifinal game against McCorston without the services of point guard Danny Hurley. Hurley injured an ankle in the Parochial B title game last Sunday. Danny Hurley will play, but he won't start today. In his absence, 2 players who have really picked it up for St. Anthony. Number 3, Roderick Rhodes, and number 25, Sean Rooney.
Of course, Roderick Rhodes is the sophomore sensation for St. Anthony's. Does a great job inside. Showed the other night that he can come outside and handle the ball at the point spot. Much better when Danny Hurley is in there because he doesn't have to work as hard for his shot. Sean Rooney I like very much. He's a tough player. Really bangs the offensive boards hard.
Well, Ben Candolino's Elizabeth Minutemen roared into the final. They really weren't tested in the semifinal against Snyder. 2 keys for Ben Candolino's club. Luther Wright, 7'2", a center, and Alcides Catanho, who's been scoring from the front line.
Luther Wright, of course, does a great job. He gives them that size that not many other teams in the country have at 7'2". He's also very patient. He doesn't dominate the offense. They don't have to go to him. Plays a great role on defense because he forces the other team to alter their shots. He blocks a lot during the game. Catanho, great player, had a great state tournament. He was MVP at 21 and 27 points. He, too, does a great job on the offensive board.
Okay, let's take a look at how our 2 teams arrived at this final here at the Tournament of Champions. First, the St. Anthony Friars, defeating Phillipsburg Catholic, then Immaculate Conception of Montclair. A win over Marist, then St. Peter's to win their 8th consecutive Parochial B title. They beat McCorston in the semifinal, coming from behind to win it 56-54. For the Elizabeth Minutemen, wins over East Orange, Barringer, Plainfield, Patterson Kennedy. They beat Trenton Central to win the Group 4 championship, and then an easy time of it against Snyder in the boys' Tournament of Champions semifinal here on Thursday night. So coming up, one game to decide the best in New Jersey high school basketball. The top-seeded Elizabeth Minutemen and the second-seeded St. Anthony Friars. We'll be back with the starting lineups right after this. NJN's coverage coverage of the boys' Tournament of Champions final game. Live from Piscataway. Pat Scanlon and Dick Lloyd now for the starting lineup. Let's go down to Jim Wilson.
Good afternoon once again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Lewis Brown Athletic Center on the campus of Rutgers University. This is the boys' final of the NJSIAA Tournament of Champions, and it features the Friars of St. Anthony, champions of Parochial B, and the Minutemen of Elizabeth High School, the Group 4 champions. Here are the starting lineups. At 1 forward for St. Anthony, number 10, a 6'3" junior, Woodrow Williams. At a forward for Elizabeth, number 24, a 6'4" junior, Alcides Catanho. At the other forward for St. Anthony, number 31, a 6' junior, James Wright. The other forward for Elizabeth, number 25, a 6'3" senior, Tyrone Brown. At center for St. Anthony, number 25, a 6'7" senior, Sean Rooney. At center for Elizabeth, number 22, a 7'2" senior, Luther Wright. One guard for St. Anthony, number 3, a 6'6" sophomore, Roderick Rose. And a guard for Elizabeth, number 12, a 6'1" senior, Mike Brennan. And at the other guard for St. Anthony, number 24, a 6' senior, Lamont Street. And at guard for Elizabeth, number 14, a 6'5" junior, Isaac Morgan. St. Anthony is coached by Bob Hurley.
Well, there's the head coach of the St. Anthony Friars, Bob Hurley Sr. Won 14 state titles in 15 trips, 455 wins to his credit. And Ben Candolino, head coach of the Elizabeth Minutemen, 186 wins, Group 4 champions in 85, 88, 89, and 90. Good crowd on hand here in Rutgers University in Piscataway as the Minutemen and the Friars decide who's the best. The referee in the three-official system is Rich Sanfilippo, Joe Vigna, and Frank Partica, with Jim Lofer, the alternate. Number 22, taking up most of your screen. 7'2" Luther Wright will jump center against Roderick Rhodes, the sophomore. Friars with the dark maroon uniform. Tip control, this is Mike Brennan for the Minutemen. He'll run the show most of the day. Isaac Morgan, now Catanho, and Tyrone Brown.
Interesting, Pat. Looks like a box and one. They're playing Brennan man-to-man. The other 4 players playing that box zone.
There's the lob down low. Luther Wright breaks the steal. Good feed from Isaac Morgan.
Has a nice touch for the big guy there.
Now Roderick Rhodes playing the point. Rooney quickly to Lamont Street. His shot from 2-point range is good. We're even at 2 apiece.
And big-time play. A lot of guys would pass that up, Pat, but he's unmolested, had to take that shot, which he did.
Well, it looks like James Wright is going to shadow Brennan as Luther Wright. The soft jumper in the paint. 4-2 Minutemen. Now Rhodes, 31 James Wright, and Lamont Street, a 6'1" senior wearing number 24. His pass picked off, but Isaac Morgan dribbles it, on the sideline. So the Friars will maintain possession.
Elizabeth starting out with that pressure about three-quarters court. Looks like a little bit of a 2-1-2 press.
Street so far handling the ball with Roderick Rhodes able to create on the baseline. Here's Roderick. Strong. Woodrow Williams gets up for the rebound. Right pass picked off. Tyrone Brown on the break. And he's fouled by Lamont Street. Well, they're trying to work it inside to James Wright. But the quickness of that defense by Ben Candolino's club.
Brennan did a nice job, too, of filling that lane. They didn't go with him, but he ran it very well.
And here he comes, Danny Hurley. The junior guard who started off, he nailed a two-pointer and a three-pointer in the opening minutes of the Friars' win against St. Peter's at Brookdale. Then sprained the ankle, stretched the ligament. Ben Candolino kind of had a hunch that Danny would play today. Brown can't convert, but the Minutemen lead 4-2.
Gives Hurley a chance to test that ankle early and just see how he goes with it.
The coaching staff said he practiced yesterday. He was a little stiff early on, but then it began to loosen up as Luther Wright bats away the pass intended for Sean Rooney down low.
So always talk about those coaches' sons who are point guards. They can run that offense out there.
There's Danny's older brother, Bobby, playing at Duke, stepping into the backcourt for Mike Krzyzewski and company. Duke beating St. John's today. Luther Wright, the foul from behind on James Wright. James Wright trying to put it up. He'll shoot two.
Tough to take it inside against Elizabeth. Got the nice baseline drive, but watch the way Luther Wright is just waiting in there for him. Contact comes from behind. He waits long enough, but Wright is there, gets a great block, but the foul was called from behind.
James Wright, a 67% free throw shooter, a 6'1 junior. Bob Hurley. The assistants, Ed Rich, Jim Morley, Bob Voigt. And the MVP may be the team therapist if Danny can play today. Luther gets up. St. Anthony down by a point. 5:55 left, boys tournament champion.
Luther gets up, and Luther gets a hold, and no one else is going to take that ball away from him.
Here's Alcides Catanho, who had to step up his game in the Group 4 championship game when Wright got into foul trouble. Brown, left-handed baby hook by Luther Wright. Wright's got all 6 of the Minutemen points. Now here's Hurley against the pressure, bothered by Catanho. He turns it over.
That time Elizabeth moved that press up and changed the alignment of it. Had 3 men up front going right for that double. Caught Hurley in the corner. He got bumped, he thought. Couldn't step out of bounds. Just had to let it go.
Tyrone Brown, the 25. He to spurt against Snyder. Morgan tried to go to low for Catanho. Rhodes. Does he come away? Yes. Roderick Rhodes. 6'7", trying to lay it off to James Wright. The foul before the pass. And it's on number 14, Isaac Morgan. More substitutions for St. Anthony's. Checking in number 33, Michael Goins, replacing James Wright. And Lamont Street comes in. Woodrow Williams trying to create on the baseline. Fouled from behind by Tyrone Brown. You make 2 on Tyrone quickly.
Excuse me, Pat, you may get that baseline against Elizabeth, but you got to face Luther Wright waiting inside. He kind of plays a one-man zone inside.
Malik Jackson replaces Tyrone Brown. Jackson wearing number 23. The All-State running back and linebacker who play football for the Scarlet Knights next season. Friars maintain possession. And a sub, Roderick Rhodes, comes in to inbound the ball as Lamont Street will sit down. 6-3, Elizabeth with the lead, the Friars with the ball. Michael Goins. His pass taken away by Mike Brennan. Steal and lays it in. Roderick Rhodes, he got up there. Looked like he was going to jam and just laid it in.
But a smart move, I think, by the sophomore. Too many times you try and hot dog it and jam it to bring the house down. Embarrassing when you miss. He wanted to be sure this early in the game he got the basket.
Stripped by Danny Hurley. Off Catanho. Michael Goins. Punches ticket. He traveled. Now James Wright comes back in, replacing Michael Goins. Bob Hurley tries to settle down Goins, his sophomore. Elizabeth with a 1-point lead and the ball as Isaac Morgan walks it up.
Coach Hurley obviously has a lot of respect for Brennan. He's staying with that box and one. Brennan is their best outside shooter, shooting 50% from three-point range.
Catanho, offensive rebound off the Luther Wright miss, and the foul from behind on number 3, Roderick Rhodes. Well, Hurley had said before the game that they wanted to sag in on that physical front line of the Minutemen. Let anyone else shoot from outside except Brennan.
It's a little tough when you have a box to sag. There's one less player that's out of position. A little bit more difficult to get that good sag. They haven't been able to get that yet. Wright is getting the ball very close to the basket.
There's Alcides Catanho, the most valuable player of the Group 4 title game. Coming off a 12-point, 14-rebound performance against Snyder. Catanho gives Elizabeth an 8-5 lead with 4:10 left. Against the pressure, Rooney has James Wright standing top of the key, and they break it. Just about used up the entire 10 seconds, however. Danny Hurley for 3. Strong. Rooney rebound. Roderick Rhodes. And it's Luther Wright with the rebound.
Luther turned ball over his head looking for that outlet pass.
Brennan tried to hook up with Catanho, and Woodrow Williams got a hand on it for St. Anthony. Malik Jackson will inbound for the Minutemen. Makes the wise decision to Luther Wright. No good. Out of bounds off Sean Rooney. Jackson really made Rutgers football coach Doug Graver's recruiting season, giving him a commitment early on as Luther scores off the inbound.
Nice job on that one, too. Through the high pass, he just stayed up and shot before he even came down.
8 points for Luther Wright, who averages 18 a game. Now here's Woodrow Williams as the Friars handle the pressure.
Do a nice job of handling that pressure, too. Do it fundamentally. They step through the press. They don't put it on the floor until they have to, looking to break it with the pass.
James Wright, inlet pass rather to Sean Rooney. Good entry pass to Rooney.
Great pass inside, and nice position by Rooney.
What a different first quarter this is for the St. Anthony Friars, who in the semifinal game trailed 25-8 to McCorston, coming back to win by 2. I think Bob Hurley will take this tempo. Danny Hurley, who underwent all sorts of physical rehab on that ankle this week. Rooney. No, there's Luther on the board, controlled by Roderick Rhodes. Rhodes off glass, no. James Wright won't go, but he's fouled inside. And the foul is on number 23, Malik Jackson.
No foul on Luther Wright, who's done a lot of jumping and swatting inside, but he's getting away, keeping good body control, intimidating the St. Anthony player inside. There's an example. He goes up and gets a piece of that one. He'll come back the other side. He's going to jump one more time. You got to be conscious of him in there.
James Wright. .67% free throw shooter. His first year of varsity basketball at St. Anthony. Can't buy one from the line, but there's Sean Rooney. Has it blocked by Luther Wright, who comes down with the ball. To Morgan on the attack. All you have to do is look for number 22, but offensive foul on Luther Wright.
Thought that was a little tough by the big guy there. He's got to be able to at least turn around, and I didn't think he had enough room to turn around that time. Tough to feel sorry for a guy 7'2", 300 pounds, but he's got to give him a little bit of room to play in there.
Elizabeth leading 10-7 at his 5 team fouls on the Minuteman, so the Friars will be shooting the 1-1 with 2:02 left first quarter. Turnover by Wright. Lawrence Thomas, number 3, just in the ball game. Goes glass for 2. Good start for the 6-foot sophomore. And the Minutemen back up by 5.
Coming out to put that pressure on Hurley. Don't make it easy. Make him work all the way up the floor.
The pass goes off the fingertips of Malik Jackson. There's Danny. Calling for the ball against Lawrence Thomas. Has it swatted away by Luther Wright. Looks up. No foul. Back come the Minutemen. Brennan to Thomas. Baseline for 2.
Nice job by Thomas. Lost his balance. Was smart enough to bring that foot back again. Get the feet parallel square to the basket before he tried to go up. I think Danny forgot that Luther Wright was in there. A little tough for that guard to go inside with Wright hanging in that middle.
Minutemen by 7, and Lawrence Thomas providing the offensive spark for Candolino with 4 quick points. Roderick Rhodes can't get it to go, and another foul on Malik Jackson. Jackson's got those big shoulders. He'll be firing through the line for the Scarlet Knights. 2 fouls on Malik. He'll check out, and in comes Isaac Morgan.
Isaac Morgan, 6'5", not a bad size at the guard spot.
Candolino calls him his best jumper and passer is Roderick Rhodes. Now with 3 points. 6 feet 7 inches tall, a sophomore. As graceful as you can be at 6'7", says Bob Hurley. And the sisters may have had a little bit to do, as you see them applauding behind the Friar bench, with Danny Hurley's rapid recovery. 14-9 Elizabeth in the final minute of the first quarter, leading. Tack on 2 more. Mike Brennan with his first basket. Well, Lawrence Thomas, token pressure against Danny Hurley. 35 seconds left. James Wright with Brennan on him. Williams, Hurley, Roderick Rhodes. Nice move, but it won't go. Tipped out of bounds, Luther Wright.
There's again the Luther Wright syndrome in there. He makes you alter that shot. Didn't get a piece of it, but you have a tendency to alter it a little bit. Gives you one more thing to think about. It was a nice entry pass.
24 seconds left. James Wright. They trap him in the corner. Rhodes from the foul line. Won't go. Alcides Catanho. Rebound. 15 seconds left.
Wise move. Catanho looked up the floor, didn't have the break, held it up, worked the half-court game into the big guy.
They throw it away, out of bounds. So the Friars with 4 seconds left in the first quarter. And Sean Rooney will inbound. Both teams have turned it over 5 times in the first quarter. Rooney, the lob pass. Rhodes had it for a second. And it's all over. So after 1 quarter of play in the boys' Tournament of Champions final, it's the top-seeded Elizabeth Minutemen leading St. Anthony 16-9, and we'll be right back. Luther Wright with 8 points in defensive effort.
There's that shot again of Danny Hurley trying to go inside. He thought he was hit, but that was a clean block by Luther Wright. Giving up a little bit too much size to try to take it to the big guy.
16-9, the Minutemen lead as we begin the second quarter. Pat Scanlon and Dick Lloyd live from Rutgers in Piscataway. St. Anthony shooting 3 of 15 from the field. Elizabeth 7 of 10 in that first quarter. Woodrow Williams, strong to the hoop, and he's fouled inside. Luther doing a little bit of refereeing, wanted an offensive foul. Instead, it's on Isaac Morgan, his second. Woodrow Williams, the 6'3" junior, has not scored. He's come up with 3 rebounds.
Pat Lawrence Thomas for Elizabeth, the 6'0" sophomore, done a nice job defensively on Hurley, really giving them a lot to think about.
Hurley says Williams doesn't fear anyone. He's my banger. I love him in the ball game. He's able to mix things up. And he cashes in twice in the charity stripe to close the Minutemen lead to 5. Lawrence Thomas stays in. Catanho bobbles for a minute. Brennan to Catanho. Catanho blocked by Roderick Rose. But Catanho controlling it to Isaac Morgan. And the Minutemen will reset.
St. Anthony's changed their defense now. They're playing a 3-2 zone, getting away from that box and one, giving them a little more help inside on Luther Wright.
Morgan with a 2-point jumper.
And what's Elizabeth do? They come back and start hitting outside.
Isaac Morgan with his first basket. It's Hurley to Rooney, and now Roderick Rose. Trapping defense by the Minutemen. Rose comes out of it and buries the jumper as he pulled up.
As I talked about that fundamental move, he did such a nice job of splitting those guys. Instead of trying to go over them, he split them and stepped right through.
Rose with 6 points. Very happy to have Danny Hurley back running the offense. Struggled against McCorston early when he had to try to create his own shots as the point guard. 3-second violation.
Caught Isaac Morgan just a little bit too long. He was coming along the baseline, didn't get out of the paint, and it looked like St. Anthony was in a 1-3-1 zone that time.
Now the Friars down by 5. James Wright to Woodrow Williams. Bobbled it. Here's Wright. And Luther Wright, certainly a presence there. Has everyone thinking about their shots, but it's Woodrow Williams with the floater over Wright for 2.
And you notice the way that started the same way, Pat. There was a trap. He split it the same way Rhodes did last time. Well coached.
St. Anthony down by 3. The Minutemen maintain possession. Thomas, who came off the bench in the first quarter, to score 4 quick points. Left corner to the Morgan. They reverse it to Brennan for 3. And he's fouled by Danny Hurley out top. The first on Hurley, third on the Friars.
Great move against the zone defense. You got to go over top of it, make that zone make several adjustments. Got your shooter on the opposite side. We said he's shooting 50% from 3-point range.
Mike Brennan, the floor general for Ben Candolino, 6'1" senior. 80% from the free throw line. Stat line on Brennan against Snyder: 9 points, 6 rebounds, 4 steals. He makes them both. With 5:47 left. Minutemen by 5.
Look at Thomas, pressure right away, 3-quarter court. Make Hurley work a little bit.
James Wright, now to Rooney. They try to lob back to Williams. Out of bounds, they say it went off Woodrow Williams.
They do look for that high-low all the time. You can see that if you watch the play a little bit. Rooney, I think, an exceptional passer for a big guy inside. That one he couldn't convert, but I think he does a great job as a passer for the big guy.
And Jermaine Wolbach, number 23, replaces Rooney in the lineup for the Friars. Womack, the ability to jump out of the building. Morgan tried, but couldn't hook up off the pass from Mike Brennan.
St. Anthony's using that 1-3-1 zone, putting James Wright in the back line. 6'1", but great quickness, can cover corner to corner, although sometimes it leaves him matched up with Luther Wright at 7'2". Gives up a little bit of size.
James Wright with Brennan on him. Williams had a notion. Now Roderick Rose continuing to feel it.
He likes that. He had a big smile on that one.
He's got 8, and the Friars are within 3.
That's a pretty tough move to stop because he puts it on the floor and you're backing up, and he's so big, he picks it up right away and goes up over you.
Mike Brennan answers from three-point land. 7 points for Mike Brennan.
Bobby Hurley telling James Wright, you got to go from corner to corner. You got to get out there, particularly when that's a shooter out there. Be aware of who your shooters are. Cheat on them a little bit.
Now Rhodes on the left wing. Spins over Morgan. It won't go. Loose ball tipped up. Woodrow Williams with the opportunity. Now Rhodes. Hurley remembers Luther Wright. Trip from behind, and a foul is on number 3, Lawrence Thomas, I believe.
How about that Elizabeth defense? So the ball goes inside there. 3 white shirts around that ball inside. They kick it back out, and they're out pretty quick.
Let me correct myself. The foul is on Woodrow Williams. 4th on the Friars, so next personal foul, and the Minutemen will shoot the 1-and-1. 4:05 left second quarter. Elizabeth by 6. Brennan down to Luther. Luther knocks it off his knee, so St. Anthony. Elizabeth with 8 turnovers now.
St. Anthony cheating that defense a little bit, cheating towards Luther Wright, trying to front him, and if the pass goes high, bringing help from the other side. You can do that more easily with that zone.
Wright loses the handle. Womack back out. James Wright won't go. There's Jermaine Womack. And he traveled with the ball, says the official, as he came down with the rebound. Tough call, though.
Tough call. Luther Wright getting away with a lot in there, I think. He had his hand on the player's arm, pushed him down to the floor. Coach Hurley still a little bit upset about that.
Now Thomas. They lob down low to Wright, who turns around over James Wright. No. Luther had a second chance at it, as does Isaac Morgan, and Morgan fouled on his way to the hoop by 23, Jermaine Womack. Hurley will use the opportunity to bring back Sean Rooney and Lamont Street. Womack picks up his first.
Get Rooney back in there for a little more size. You can't afford to give 2 and 3 shots. Here's a good shot as he gets the ball here. Puts it on the floor, going up a little bit strong. You can see the hands inside. You can't flash at him, swat at him. Got to keep him straight up.
Morgan, a 60% free throw shooter. And he's got 3 points. That's Elizabeth, leading by 7. Baseline. Soft shot by Woodrow Williams.
Well, that time he was smart. He pulled up. He didn't take it all the way into the paint where the big guy was waiting. The big guy, though, got out there, put a little pressure on the shooter.
It's 6 for Williams. Luther fouled by Sean Rooney, and the foul.
Rooney tried to play behind that time. Brennan brought the defense out on him, dumped it inside. Very nice. You look at that. He went up as if he was going for the jump shot, just dumped it in. You can see that Rooney was all over him. Can't play behind the big guy like that, giving up too much size.
Jose Ortiz comes into the ball game, replacing Sean Rooney, who picked up his first. There's Ortiz, the 6'6.5" senior. And Luther Wright, 61% from the line. 5 of 7 from the field today for 10 points. Can't complete the 3-point play. Minutemen up by 7. Lamont Street pressured. And the foul is on Lawrence Thomas, who is riding Street down the baseline.
Well, Elizabeth's changed their defense now. They're running that little half-court trap. They stay back till you get the ball in the wing. Then they're trying to run right out and that time they're able to dribble out of it there.
That's 3 on Morgan, so he quickly goes to the bench. Ben Candolino going with Catanho, Wright, Brennan, Thomas, and Tyrone Brown. Lamont Street misses the front end. With 2:40 left, it's a 7-point Minutemen lead.
They switch the defense again, Pat. They're back to the box and one, chasing Brennan.
And Jose Ortiz trying to do his best on Luther, trying to front him. Brown left alone.
That time Ortiz did a nice job. He did not come out. He said, Brown, prove yourself out there. I'm going to stay in front of the big guy. And, of course, the ball went up, broke the plane of that backboard over the top, out of bounds.
Second quarter action, the boys' tournament of champion. Roderick Rhodes for the St. Anthony Friars, who trail by 7. Deep in the left corner to Lamont Street. Creating, no, rebound, Brown. Now Mike Brennan.
Mike Brennan asking the official for something there. A little bit of bumping going on.
Thomas to Catanho. And now Brown. His pass tipped away by Woodrow Williams. Danny Hurley on the break. Foul from behind as Danny Hurley goes to the court. And the foul is on Lawrence Thomas. So Thomas picks up his first. James Wright comes back in for St. Anthony, replacing Lamont Street.
Hurley started that break. We'll get to see him look to the right. He takes a glance at the right, but he's way ahead of the pack. The lane didn't get full. He had no choice but to take it all the way in. Got a nice shot off, considering.
But he's going to shoot a 1-and-1, so the foul not in the act of shooting. I don't know. Interesting interpretation. And Danny Hurley. This is the front end. Here's Malik Jackson. His pass. Had a little bit of problem, and he traveled with the ball as Ortiz jumped out on Malik Jackson. Double-figure turnovers for Candolino's club. And 1:20 to play in the second quarter.
Coach Hurley calling that offense, calling out fists. They go to a 1-4 set.
James Wright in trouble off the trap. Rhodes able to save. Roderick over Luther. Short. Catanho. Scramble. Brennan. And now he's fouled by James Wright. Both teams heading to the floor, scrambling and scrapping. And James Wright shaken up on the play.
That whole thing started, Pat, with that Elizabeth defense where they're trapping. Really aggressive trap out of that zone. Ball was thrown up in the air in desperation. Rhodes was lucky to get it.
James Wright picks up his first.
A lot of bumps before this. Him diving and just takes his legs out from under him. That had to be called.
Lamont Street back in the game for St. Anthony, replacing James Wright. Mike Brennan, 80% from the line, averaging 11 a game. Has 8 points. Ben Candolino likes that for him. He's 3 of 3 from the line and perfect from the field. Brennan rattles one around. It counts. 28-19 with 1:02 left in the second quarter. The Minutemen over the second-seeded St. Anthony Friars. Street. He'll take this for 3. Well, Lamont Street picking it up from outside. He has 5 points. It's a 6-point lead. Jackson throws it to Wright. Wright put it on the floor that time, taken away by the Friars. Now Rhodes finds Rooney all alone on the right side. Great feed by Sean Rooney.
Super pass. He drove that baseline, so he didn't have it because there are 3 players around him. Found Rooney open. Nice play.
Elizabeth by 4. 14 seconds left. Brennan off to Malik Jackson, who pumped. No, Luther on the offensive glass for 2. 12 points for Luther Wright. And now 3 seconds left. Hurley. Danny Hurley fires. It's no good. After one half of the boys' title game, Luther Wright, the story for the Minutemen, as Elizabeth leads it 30-24. We'll be back with our halftime features right after this. To 24. Well, last year it was a rematch. This year's match, rather, a rematch of last year's final, with the Friars coming out last year on top. 33-year-old Barrett died yesterday of a heart attack, and the Friars wearing a black band on their uniforms, dedicating this game to their former friend. High scorers for the St. Anthony Friars: Roderick Rhodes with 8 points, Woodrow Williams with 6, and Lamont Street with 5. And Rhodes on 3 of 11 shooting from the field. For the Minutemen, the big guy inside, Luther Wright, 12 points. Brennan with 9 from the backcourt, and Lawrence Thomas came off the bench for 4.
One of those stats that we were talking about were 9 offensive rebounds for St. Anthony. Sounds like a good stat. They haven't been able to convert any of those, though, to baskets.
Okay, the Minutemen come back. Catanho on the baseline. Has it blocked by Rooney, and Roderick Rhodes collects. Friars go with Hurley, Rhodes, Rooney, Williams, and Street. The Minutemen answer with Brown, Morgan, Brennan, Wright, and Catanho. Lamont Street from outside. 2-point attempt won't go. Catanho rebounds. Mike Brennan inside to Luther. Luther Wright. The soft touch, the shooter's roll for Luther Wright with 14.
Pretty tough to get a piece of that. He's so big to begin with, and he holds it up high and just a little bit back over his head.
8 points now. The lead for the Minutemen. Knocked out of bounds as Tyrone Brown plays the passing lane.
Elizabeth's done a great job in that man-to-man defense. Brennan now playing Hurley, putting good pressure, trying to shut off those passes to the wings.
Back up top to Rhodes with Danny Hurley. Playing on a tightly wrapped right ankle. Street to Rooney. Has it blocked away. He gets it back. Hurley for 3. It's good. Danny Hurley, who broke his brother Bobby's record for three-pointers in a season with 77. It's number 78. Now Catanho in a 5-point ball game. Out to Morgan. Good ball movement by the Minutemen. Catanho pulls up. Tough to stop from the baseline.
And great move against a lot of traffic down there. St. Anthony staying with that box and one, playing Brennan man-to-man. Done a pretty good job of moving that whole zone over to the right side, but Catanho being able to get through it.
He's got 4. Hurley's pass picked off by Brown. Brown, almost a charge. Count the basket for Isaac Morgan, and the foul inside.
Great move to the basket. Good call by the official that time. Defense is not set, as we'll see here. He goes up, then the defense continues to move in, holding the arms out. Can't do that.
Woodrow Williams picking up his second, first on the team.
So Coach Hurley talking with Danny there at halftime when he is outside shooting, saying to him, take that shot. You got to put it in from the outside, which he did.
Isaac Morgan completes the three-point play. He's got 6, and the Minutemen now up by 10, 37-27. Brennan guarding Hurley. Left side, Sean Rooney. Catanho on the rebound. Now he throws it away. Street there to retrieve. Will it go? No, but he's fouled.
Nice alertness on the defense. Just couldn't get it to drop for him.
Had Bob Hurley across the way. I mean, a little talk with Sean Rooney about his shot selection. Rooney has a nice outside shot, but I don't think he wants him bombing from three-point range on the wing. Here's Jermaine Womack replacing Sean Rooney.
Also, he pointed up in the air, and I think he was saying, not so high next time. He lost that thing from three-point range.
71% free throw shooter is Lamont. Lamont with 5 points. This is the first. Michael Goins will check in if Street can convert. And he does. So the 6'2 sophomore, Michael Goins, 31, James Wright back into the ballgame. He replaces Street. 37-28. Minutemen with the lead in the ball. Brown. They lob inside to Luther, and Womack got a piece of it from behind and knocked it out of bounds. It goes off Luther.
They had somebody on every side of them that time. Done a nice job of taking that box and moving it over right around Luther.
Roderick Rhodes will bring it up to take a little bit of pressure off Danny Hurley. So Rhodes, the sophomore. Right, now Jermaine Womack. Left unattended. Can't hit. Tyrone Brown skies for the rebound. Morgan. Nice look to Tyrone Brown, who took it in midair and scored.
Great alertness by Morgan, seeing the opposite side of the floor and setting that pass up beautifully.
Just Morgan's first field goal of the game. The Minutemen run their lead to 11. Woodrow Williams can't control. Mike Brennan comes away with it. Now the flick by Williams. The steal and score by Rhodes. Williams able to flick the ball away while seated on his backside.
Brennan thought he got hit that time. It was unfortunate, too, because it was a nice defensive move by Elizabeth.
Isaac Morgan to the lane for two.
Also a great athletic move there. He came straight down that lane, took off almost at the foul line, just laid it out beautifully.
And Bob Hurley wants timeout. Morgan able to run the lane and score and give Elizabeth a 41-30 lead with 4:09 left in the third quarter. The St. Anthony Friars have won 8 consecutive parochial B titles behind Bob Hurley's guidance. 3 losses this year, 1 to Elizabeth, 64-50 in early February. They lost to Mater Dei with Rhodes and Hurley out of the lineup with the flu. That a 3-point loss in overtime. They also lost to All Hallows of New York.
Here's a case where Morgan sees the opposite side of the floor and gives it up. Just a beautiful pass. That alley-oop pass is not an easy pass. That was a beautiful pass by Morgan.
Elizabeth with 24 points in the paint to a dozen for the Friars.
Talk about how great that St. Anthony's program is. They've only lost 1 postseason game since 1980. That is an impressive statistic considering how many they've been in.
Sean Rooney comes back into the ball game, and Rhodes gets it across the half-court stripe.
Good pressure by Elizabeth, putting a lot of pressure on those forwards.
They reverse. Danny Hurley for 3. And he's hammered by Tyrone Brown.
That's what they're going to have to do to get some shots off. Get it over to the opposite side of the floor. Make that defense move more than one pass.
3 on Tyrone Brown as we take another look.
He goes out, just catches a little bit of the arm. Hurley, I think, stuck that arm up there and let it hit his body and drag him down.
Danny Hurley, 6 feet tall, 150 pounds, soaking wet, with 3 points today.
Probably about 160 pounds today with 10 pounds of tape around that ankle, I am sure.
Danny being recruited. A number of programs, Maryland, Seton Hall, Notre Dame, to name a few. Providence. 5 points for the junior guard from Jersey City. Isaac Morgan decided he was going to go to the basket again, and the foul. So the foul is on Danny Hurley, his second. Both teams with 2 team fouls. Neither in the bonus as Luther Wright throws it up short. Danny Hurley comes away. So the Minutemen still with a 9-point lead in this boys tournament of champions final. Rooney to Rhodes from 3-point range. And it won't fall.
Pat St. Anthony's only getting 1 shot at the basket. If it doesn't go out of bounds like that one did, they're not getting the rebound. That's tough when you're shooting from that range.
Morgan out of control, loses, but Roderick Rhodes fouled along the baseline. Alcides Catanho picks up his second. Up now, Lawrence Thomas, who came off the bench in the first half and hit a couple of quick buckets. Ben Candolino looks to get his offense going.
Defense extends all the way out to half court to put a little pressure on the ball. It's really like a 1-3-1 that they extend and do a little matching up out of. Puts a lot of good pressure.
Woodrow Williams gets a step on Luther Wright.
Great move by Williams. Not afraid to go in the paint, go up strong. Protected the ball nicely.
He's got 8 points. It's a 7-point Minutemen lead. Alcides Catanho, offensive foul as Williams, working both ends of the floor, draws the offensive foul. And now Candolino wants timeout.
He makes that drive. What we can't quite see out of camera range there is Morgan was wide open on the other block, but he was so content on the drive he didn't see to pass it to him.
Elizabeth with 16 turnovers, and let's talk a little bit about the schedule that the Minutemen played. Just 1 loss this season for Ben Candolino. Back to Parkview of Arkansas. They lost by 4 points. The Christmas tournament came back a couple nights later to beat Pine Hill. Of course, it was Candolino's club beating St. Anthony 64-50, riding a 26-game win streak. Luther Wright, who got the strong start, 4 of 6 shooting in the first quarter and 2 of 3 in the second, is 1 of 2 for 14 points total, as we have 2:48 left in the third quarter.
I think St. Anthony's made a good adjustment on that, having plenty of guys right around Wright, so it's a little difficult for him to get the ball in.
Danny Hurley, his 3-point attempt is good. And it's a 4-point ball game. Danny Hurley with 8 points.
No hesitation either. Knew he had it, put it right up.
Steal by James Wright. Goes past Brennan. No! And Lawrence Thomas makes a wise move, gets back for the rebound. But he traveled under pressure.
That was a nice trap, too. They kept their hands straight up, St. Anthony, instead of coming over top and drawing the foul. He tried to step in, but he dragged that pivot foot when he did.
Catanho sits down Malik Jackson into the ball game for Elizabeth. The inbound to Williams. Woodrow down to Roderick Rhodes. Having trouble. Luther there. Tips it away and pulls it down. Great inside presence by Luther Wright.
Rhodes just had a little trouble hanging on to that basketball.
Brennan with James Wright all over him. Morgan. Now they go down low to the big guy, who somehow, with Rudy and Rhodes all over him, gets the shot off for 2. Luther with 16.
What a great shot, too, because as you said, Pat, they were hanging all over him, but he managed to get that shot off. Nice play.
Elizabeth back up by 6. 1:34 left. And Isaac Morgan fouls Roderick Rhodes out front. That is 4 on Isaac Morgan. And quickly, Tyrone Brown getting up off the bench to check back in. Look at Luther. Somehow got the shot off, and Rooney had a piece of the ball.
He sure did. Great pressure on the shooter, but great job by the shooter not losing his concentration.
Morgan with 4. And Rhodes with the kind rim. 11 points.
St. Anthony can hit some of those outside shots, move that ball around, make that zone. They're trying to trap it, leave someone wide open. If they can make that shot when they're open, they'll have to change that defense.
Rhodes with a dozen, and the Friars within 4 with 1:28 left here in the third quarter. Down low, Luther as Rhodes gambled, and Wright fouled by James Wright. Luther with his average at 18 points.
Luther does a great job here getting that position. Rhodes is trying to go in front of him. Good hands by Wright also.
James Wright got a hand on the shoulder. Luther brushed the net away and went in for 2. He'll attempt the three-point play. 18 points and 5 rebounds for the senior bound for Seton Hall. And he increases Elizabeth's lead to 7. Thomas picking Hurley up in the backcourt. Now Rooney comes out top to help. Rhodes over Jackson for 2.
There's that same move again. One bounce, you back up, get on your heels in defense. He pulls up on a dime, and it's a great jumper.
Rhodes, St. Anthony's top scorer, averaging 16 a game, now has 14. Tyrone Brown loses to Rhodes, and Rhodes tripped from behind. The foul will go on Tyrone Brown. It's unintentional by Brown, and that is now 4 on Tyrone Brown. So both Morgan and Brown in foul trouble. Alcides Catanho checks in.
Here comes the foul coming from behind here. He just loses his balance and plows into him. Coach Hurley was calling that intentional foul. Not intentional at all. But a great defensive move, great anticipation by Rhodes to get that steal to begin with.
Rhodes makes the front end of the 1-and-1. Bob Hurley, Ed Rich to his left. Rhodes with 15 points. Dare I say he's perfect from the line in 5 tries. Make it 6.
Momentum swinging just a little bit now towards St. Anthony's as they pick up the pace.
Friars down by 3. 37 seconds left in the third quarter. Brennan and Thomas. The quick backcourt for Ben Candolino.
St. Anthony's gone back to a 1-3-1 zone.
Jackson's pass is too hard for Catanho. And as Williams gains control, he's fouled. Foul is on Lawrence Thomas. That's 3 on Lawrence.
This is where the experience and the kind of program that St. Anthony's has comes into play. They're playing confident, been behind the whole game, but just chipping away a point at a time.
St. Anthony able to put points up on the board without the clock moving, as they've been in the bonus early in the third quarter. Woodrow Williams missing. Friars with just 3 team fouls, so Elizabeth not in the bonus yet. Catanho looks in for Malik Jackson, and it's out of bounds. And Luther yells some encouragement. 20th turnover for the Minutemen.
St. Anthony pressure being very effective here now, causing those turnovers.
9 seconds left. You see the time left in the third quarter. Roderick Rhodes to Danny Hurley. Way outside. Short. And that's the end of the third quarter. We've got a ball game here in the boys' Tournament of Champions final. Elizabeth leading St. Anthony 46-43. We'll be right back.
great presence by Hurley, realizing that he's got to get that jumper off and get those three-point shots if he can. Foot just about on the line.
In that third quarter, St. Anthony shooting 5 of 11. Elizabeth 7 of 9, but the Minutemen turned it over 9 times.
And almost lost that on a violation there. That second buzzer, the official put the ball down on the floor. Of course, in game, they lost one on that.
Pat Scanlon and Dick Floyd here live in Piscataway. Boys' title game. Rose. His shot won't go. Luther Wright gets up for the rebound. Outlet pass picked off by James Wright.
Nice movement offensively by St. Anthony's. They moved the ball around very nicely last time down.
Friars down by 3. Hurley going on Lawrence Thomas. Sean Rooney for 3. No. Rebound. Woodrow Williams. His shot won't go. Jackson, outlet to Lawrence Thomas. He's got Catanho on the left wing. Luther on the right. The big guy tried to jam it home, but he was fouled by Sean Rooney.
Well, St. Anthony's got in trouble that time, Pat, because they were trying to pressure the rebounder. That's fine to do, but as soon as he gets rid of the ball, you got to get down the floor, and they did not. Elizabeth had the presence to bring it down quickly.
Rooney picks up his second on this play.
Great pass. Should go inside. The big guy's got to get this one, though. Probably been better going off the glass.
And you see the backboard and that bendable rim bouncing up and down. Luther, 19 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 blocks. And the soft left hand. Luther can't make the second, and it's a 47-43. Elizabeth leads. 7 minutes left. Fourth quarter action. Danny Hurley, guarded by Lawrence Thomas. He'll fire for 3. Air ball. James Wright. Up and down, jump ball, and the arrow favors Elizabeth.
A little bit of a force, you're right, Pat, on that play by Danny.
Brennan, Thomas, Catanho, Wright, and Jackson. Offensive foul, Mike Brennan. James Wright paid the price, and he'll go to the line for a 1-and-1. Or excuse me, offensive foul, so they'll inbound. And a chance to pull within 2, trailing 47-43.
Great anticipation and quickness by Wright that time, jumping in front of Brennan, drawing that charge.
Just the first on Mike Brennan. Roderick Rhodes, three-point try. Luther gets up for the bound. Brennan, his pass for Catanho, picked off. Rhodes ahead to James Wright. He's hammered by Mike Brennan. And Mike, that show of sportsmanship goes over to him. Nothing personal, but I was going to make you go to the line to shoot 2.
No, it wasn't anything personal. It was a great foul. He knew he was going to get the basket. He wanted to stop the basket. Went right over. We'll get a good look at it here. He's in the lead, puts it down with his left hand, takes that little hop, and he's going to make sure he doesn't get that shot off.
James Wright, the 6'1 junior, but first, before he can go to the line, Ben Candolino wants timeout. While they have a chance, we should tell you that when you need New Jersey's top news stories, along with the Garden State's only comprehensive sports report, it's New Jersey Network News, weeknights at 7 and 11:30, right here on New Jersey's own public television station, NJN.
Pat, I think the St. Anthony's defense is getting them back in the game, causing a lot of turnovers on Elizabeth. Sure, that's the adjustment that Ben Candolino wants to make now. Be a little more cautious. We've got the lead. Let's not throw it away.
Let's listen in to Ben Candolino.
Regular high, Luther Wright. Luther, you're on the same side of the court, okay, as Malik. You start rough. Stand defensively, fellas. You got top balance. Keep setting us to the foul line. Let's go. Come on.
Luther Lowe, that's exactly where he wants Luther. A Luther Lowe, little guard, interchange. Don't put him on the foul line.
Luther on low, and the Minutemen may end the day on high. Well, James Wright, who's 1 of 4 from the line today. Shooting 2. Now Wright can draw Hurley's troops within 2 if he can make this free throw. And James finds the strokes just in time to make it a 2-point ball game with 6:12 left. Minutemen by 2 with the ball. Mike Brennan. See if they go low to Luther. Jackson finds him, and Luther does the rest.
Didn't hesitate at all. Low to Luther right away. I think that'll be the byword this last 6 minutes. Low to Luther.
So it's a good timeout for Ben Candelino. They get the 2 points. Luther with 22. Sean Rooney had the anxious feet and travels with the ball.
Well, you remember he's had a couple times out there, took some bad shots. He took one from the corner, took another one right from that same spot. So he was trying to think to himself, coach said I shouldn't take that. Forgot, moved to feet.
Isaac Morgan back in the game for the Minutemen. 11 turnovers for St. Anthony. To Luther Lowe, and Luther has it batted out of bounds by Roderick Rhodes, and the foul will be on Roderick.
I'll tell you what, it's obvious these guys listen to the coach because that's what he said both times down, right into Luther.
Rhodes picks up his second. And the 5th team foul on the Friars. So now it's Bob Hurley's turn to call timeout. Down by 4 with 5:35 left.
Notice how quickly he gets it. He turns right away, brings that ball down a little bit low, but Rhodes did get a piece of the arm. He should turn keeping the ball high.
And a program reminder, the high school competition, it actually continues tomorrow night at 7:30 on NJN. Oratory Prep in North Plainfield. Matt Schwitz on Rutgers New Jersey Bowl. Join Professor Todd Hunt for another locally produced New Jersey Network program here on NJN. Well, Bob Hurley wanted the timeout right away. He's got to figure out how you stop Luther Lowe.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if he does come out with a change in the defense here. Get a little more help on Luther inside.
There's one option,
which sometimes works.
Luther Wright, the New Jersey Gatorade Player of the Year in the competition for the National Gatorade High School Player of the Year. 22 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 blocks. Shooting .500 from the free throw line.
I like his socks, Pat. I'm the first one to spot that new fashion trend. We had the shirts under the shirts and the shorts under the shorts. Now you watch. It's the no socks look.
Faster than you can say Mike Tyson. Luther cashes in a couple, and we're back up to a 6-point Elizabeth lead. For a while, Luther went with the shaved head. Looks a little bit like George Foreman for a while. Danny Hurley quickly fires for 3.
Great look to get that ball over the opposite side. That's what they've got to do. Make that defense move a little bit. Hurley wasted no time. Put it right up.
11 for Danny Hurley, and the Friars within 3. There's Hurley. Strips Morgan. Morgan regains. Battle underneath. Jump ball, and this time the arrow favors St. Anthony. Isaac Morgan and Woodrow Williams.
Isaac makes me a little nervous sometimes when he starts down there. He takes off out pretty far. That's easy to draw that foul on. Lost a little bit of control going in there. St. Anthony's got a hand on it.
Here we go. Friars down by 3. Wright to Rooney, left unattended. 2-point shot for Sean Rooney, and the Friars are within one. 6 points for Sean, the senior center. Catanho. Malik Jackson. They lob for Luther. Luther. Jump ball. Roderick Rhodes got all ball. And the arrow favoring the Minutemen.
I'll tell you, Pat, Elizabeth's just getting a little bit tentative here. I think they're a little bit uptight. How often they're throwing that basketball away. They're just going to relax a little bit.
Jackson triggers on the inbound. Push off on Isaac Morgan. So now St. Anthony with Isaac Morgan fouling out, and there was really no doubt about it. Down by one with 4:26 left. Isaac Morgan, 8 points and 2 rebounds.
Interesting how Coach Hurley calls his team over quite often. No timeouts. Just gives them the sign, over here, guys. They all run over, makes whatever changes he has to make, then they go back out.
Lawrence Thomas, number 3, back in for the Minutemen. And Danny Hurley will go to the line with his team down by 1. And here's where that experience pays off. Friars have been in close games with the best in the country. And we're tied with 4:26 to go. 51 all. And listen to the crowd on this free throw. The Friars lead 52-51. Off the pressure. Elizabeth Ball as James Wright goes into the scorer's table.
Good call. That was a quick change up in the defense. We hadn't seen that pressure full court. They almost got something out of it.
Now the Minutemen playing from behind. Look to Luther. Luther Wright counted in a foul on Sean Rooney.
We talked before about how Luther's patient. They don't have to rely on Luther. They don't look for him, but certainly when the going gets tough, they know where he is, and there's no question who they're trying to get the ball to, and there's no question in his mind that he's gone right up with it.
Luther with 26 points. 4 of 6 from the free throw line. Rattles around. Woodrow Williams. St. Anthony ball. Well, the Minutemen have done what they've had to do, looking to Luther Wright. But as Ben Candolino said, the other point he made in that huddle a few moments ago was, we've got to stop fouling St. Anthony. They've been in the bonus. They're making their 1-and-1. Minutemen by 1 point. 4 minutes left. Rooney with Luther coming outside to play him. Rhodes loses the handle, but it goes to Rooney. The Friars reset, reversing to Danny Hurley.
Malik Jackson's done a great job on Rooney over there, really working hard.
Look at Luther guarding Woodrow Williams. Sean Rooney, a 2, won't go. Lawrence Thomas with the rebound. And the foul is on James Wright.
Coach Hurley saying, no, that's not the shot we want. Last time it was the shot he wanted because he made it.
Coaches are like that. 3 personals on James Wright.
I mentioned before Malik Jackson, he is working very hard on that defensive end.
Lawrence Thomas, the 6-foot sophomore, 75% free throw shooter. Gets the roll. Now Thomas, a chance to give Elizabeth a 3-point lead, and he does. So with 3:33 left, it's Elizabeth by 3 over St. Anthony.
And look at Malik, he's picking up full court now. not even watching the ball.
Pair of 12, Hurley and Brennan. Rhodes spins around. Luther, goaltending. Barely left his feet, it seemed, Dick.
Doesn't have to when he's 7-2, but Hurley calling that pressure, move up that pressure, get him to turn the ball over.
Elizabeth, 1-point lead and the ball. Malik Jackson, they trap. Brennan comes in, blocked from behind by Williams. And it's Danny Hurley. And Hurley is fouled. I believe a reach-in on Mike Brennan.
What a great defensive move by Woodrow Williams there to come along that baseline, come up behind Brennan and get a piece of that ball. It's a great move by Brennan, but look at the better move from behind, gets all ball.
So the junior Williams comes up with the big play, and there is the third foul on Mike Brennan as he leans in and grabs Danny Hurley.
Danny Hurley keeping it alive inside. Coach Hurley calling the offense and the defense in this case.
Hurley 4 of 5 from the line, taking 5 of 6 for 14 points. Underwent extensive ultrasound therapy, the whirlpool treatments, the wraps, a little bit of everything to get that ankle back in shape. And here it is 1 week later. The Friars lead by 1. Danny Hurley with 15 points. Roderick Rhodes is 18. Catanho, who's been quiet, hits over Rhodes. Just 6 for Alcides Catanho. In the last 3 games, he scored 27, 21, and 12 points. Rhodes trying to answer off glass, no. And it's Rhodes calling Catanho.
And Catanho coming through again down this end of the offense, that time getting the strong defensive rebound.
3 on Rhodes.
Look at him in good position, gets it with 2 hands, bringing it down a little bit low, but drew the foul.
Both teams in the 1-1. Alcides Catanho. Ben Candolino calls him his complimentary player to Luther. And St. Anthony wants timeout.
Catanho's very complimentary. He handles the ball so well for a big guy against that full court press. They'll use him to help bring it up, take it out of bounds against the pressure.
Candolino says Catanho's consistent. He's a good rebounder, ready to play every night. He says he's my garbage man. He's on the offensive glass, and getting it done inside. Well, the rights to this broadcast have been granted by the New Jersey State Interscholastic Athletic Association, representing 441 senior high schools across the state and the 185,000 boys and girls who participate annually in the NJSIA governed athletic competition. Any rebroadcast, republication, or other distribution of this program without the express written consent of the NJSIAA is prohibited. Danny Hurley with the stroke from 3-point range.
Coach Hurley really into that. Danny really into it. What I want to know is how's his mom and his wife able to keep those stats on the bench without getting into the game.
Alcides Catanho, 6 points, 9 rebounds, perfect in 2 trips to the line. Now it's 7, and it's a 2-point Elizabeth lead with 2:23 left in the 4th quarter. Ben Candolino, no chance to relax just yet. Short on the second, and Sean Rooney.
Catanho going in there, almost getting that foul. Wants to be very careful.
Last year's Tournament of Champions final, it was St. Anthony leading, Elizabeth drawing close in the late stages. Now it's Elizabeth down by 2, ball out of bounds off Lawrence Thomas. Many people wouldn't expect St. Anthony to be in this game as closely as it is, as Danny Hurley inbound. Woodrow Williams fouled from behind. Foul on Alcides Catanho, and it's a painful foul for Ben Candolino.
Some kind of defensive breakdown because he's all alone on that out-of-bounds play.
A lot of ball.
A lot of ball, not much body. Very dramatic, though, and I guess that blows the whistle.
4 fouls for Catanho. Williams now with 9 points. We talk about the St. Anthony team. They lose Jerry Walker, who was a senior last year. They lost Bobby Hurley Jr., who's at Duke. But here they are, down by 1. Boys Tournament of Champions final, under 2 minutes now. Candolino motioning to his players, come outside and let's make some room for Luther down low.
It's interesting, St. Anthony's back to the bottom 1. James Wright chasing Brennan wherever he goes. Luther outside now.
Now here is an interesting picture. The 7'2" center putting it on the floor. They got a little delay game. Now they're going to work it back down low to Luther.
But you got to look for Luther. He was wide open. He was low. They didn't look to him.
Foul on Roderick Rhodes. And I believe that's 4 on Roderick. No, it'll be on James Wright. And that's 4 on Wright. So Mike Brennan shooting 1 and the bonus. 4 of 4 from the charity stripe today. Big free throw. And Elizabeth back up by 2. Brennan being recruited by Richmond, Davidson, Princeton, and Penn. Heady floor leader. Can't make the second, and Rooney boxes out Luther. 2-point game, 1:15 left. St. Anthony trailing with the ball. Rose batted back outside as they tried to go to Rooney by Luther. Now here's Rhodes hustling. Hurley left alone. Top of the three-point arc. The Friars are up by 1, 60-59. 18 for Danny Hurley. And Elizabeth wants timeout.
What a clutch shot, too. Hurley doesn't hesitate. Stick that 3.
Well, I don't know what his brother Bobby did earlier this afternoon as Duke beat St. John's, but maybe he got a little confidence watching his brother.
Certainly couldn't have done much better than that. No hesitation again. Looking this half really to take that shot.
Danny Hurley has made 4 of 6 3-point attempts. And this one's going to go right down to the end.
Which is the way the number 1 versus the number 2 probably should.
Second seeded St. Anthony, the defending Tournament of Champions title holder. Elizabeth, top seeded, 31-1. Down by 1 with 51 seconds left. James Wright with 4 personals for St. Anthony. Isaac Morgan fouled out. Tyrone Brown has 4 for the Minutemen. And Alcides Catanho also playing with 4. Lawrence Thomas makes a nice catch to save on the cross-court pass from Malik Jackson. Here's Catanho. Malik left alone, banks it home, and he'll say, yeah, I wanted to use glass.
Yeah, he sure did, but he looked down inside when he went up, and I think he's thinking 2 things, pass or shoot. I better shoot, and he did.
25 seconds left and counting. Elizabeth by 1. Rose. Stripped and fouled. And the foul is on Luther Wright.
Could be on Luther Wright. He stuck the hand in there, got the arm, not the ball.
Just his second personal. 16 seconds left on the clock. Roderick Rhodes
Comes
will
in tight. Excuse me, Pat, a little bit too much reaching by Luther. We couldn't see it. We were blocked out, but he did reach.
Rhodes misses the first. His first miss in 7 attempts. And now Elizabeth wants to call timeout. They'll get the ball back. It's 16 seconds left on the clock. If Rhodes, assuming, can hit the second free throw shot.
Well, we saw another interesting game here in the Tournament of Champions, somewhat similar, where the team wanted to foul right away. We were very surprised that they fouled Pagoda. Pagoda fouled right away. I guess they wanted to determine the outcome.
Here's the biggest basket of the day by Malik Jackson.
As he went up, I saw him look down as if to say, we got to get it into Luther, but I'm wide open. What should I do? Shot and went off the glass.
Jackson, who won a Group 4 football title for the Elizabeth Minutemen, trying to do the same with the Tournament of Champions. They've already got the Group 4 basketball title in their back pocket. Tension at the rack in Piscataway. Roderick Rhodes, 6 of 7 from the free throw line. His team down by 1 with 16 seconds left. Won't go. Luther Wright with a rebound. Fouled immediately from behind by Woodrow Williams.
Again, not a bad foul because you got to stop that clock. Only 1 second goes off the clock.
Well, it's Luther Wright's game today. Bob Hurley shaking his head. Rhodes, the sophomore, had been perfect until that trip to the line. 26 points for Luther Wright. 4 of 7 from the line. Nice follow through, and it's a 2-point Elizabeth lead with 15 seconds left.
Luther looking down on Lawrence Thomas there. Little advice.
Elizabeth leading 63-60. 15 seconds left. James Wright gets it across the half-court line and calls timeout. So Bob Hurley will go to the board and try to draw up a three-point play. His son, Danny, 4 of 6 from three-point range, but Ben Candelino knows that as well.
Absolutely, and they'll be keen on Hurley. They'll have to watch the guys inside. And have to also watch for the foul. Don't want to stop that clock again.
Three-point shooting for the St. Anthony Friars. Danny Hurley, 4 of 6. Lamont Street, 1 of 1. And Roderick Rhodes is 0 of 2. Though he has shown the ability to shoot it in previous tournament games. Well, we hope you're enjoying NJN's coverage of the boys' Tournament of Champions final. Congratulations to JFK Patterson, winner of the girls' title earlier today over St. John Vianney. Here we go, 11 seconds left. Woodrow Williams with the ball to Roderick Rhodes. Down by 3 of the Friars. And a foul from behind. Roderick Rhodes has it batted away. And it's on Malik Jackson. So it's 6 seconds left. Jackson picks up his third, and Rhodes will get a chance to go back to the line. But the Friars unable to set up for a three-point shot.
Well, it looked like they were going. There's no doubt they were going for Rhodes on that three-point shot.
Jermaine Womack, who can hit the glass into the ball game for the Friars. Michael Goins, the 6'2 sophomore, also coming in for Sean Rooney. 6 seconds left. Roderick Rhodes, 6 of 8. 7 of 9. 19 points for Rhodes. And Hurley still busy on the sideline. Rhodes makes them both. 63-62, the Minutemen. 5 seconds left. And a quick foul on Danny Hurley. Another tick of the clock goes away, so there are 4 seconds remaining.
Good play by Danny Hurley. Stop that clock right away.
So Lawrence Thomas, a 75% free throw shooter, will shoot the 1-and-1. Womack goes back out for the Friars. Woodrow Williams in, as is Sean Rooney. Thomas is 2 for 2 from the line today. 6 points to his credit. Candolino pulling his Minutemen off the foul line, or the line. And there is a very big free throw by Lawrence Thomas.
Great clutch free throw shooting by Elizabeth.
Back to 2-point lead. 4 seconds left. And it's a 3-point Elizabeth lead. Now Rooney will wait. Hill Krieger. 4 Friars across half court. They look for Danny Hurley. Tipped out of bounds. Off Mike Brennan. No time expires from the clock.
What a great play that turned out to be. Advance the ball the full length of the court. No ticks off the clock.
Now Rhodes will inbound. 4 seconds left. Down by 3. James Wright. Hurley. Top of the key. Won't go. It's all over. And the Elizabeth Minutemen are the 1990 Tournament of Champions winners.
Great shot by Hurley, too. It was unmolested. Couldn't ask him to do anything more than that. What a great basketball game. Number 1 versus number 2. A real Tournament of Champions.
Let the celebration begin for the Elizabeth Minutemen and Luther Wright. And a gutsy effort by the St. Anthony Friars. Somewhere in the bottom of that pile is Luther Wright. For the first time today, the 7'2" center is not visible.
Luther's low again.
All right, so the Elizabeth Minutemen defeat Bob Hurley and the St. Anthony Friars in a great one. It came down to the last shot. Elizabeth wins it 65-62. We'll be back with a post-game wrap-up and an interview with Ben Candolino right after this.